Thanks for taking the time to watch this video. My name's Jason Schultz from Five Tails, where we're powering the growth of electricians. Now in this, I want to walk you through how to actually generate calls for emergency electrical work at what are rock bottom prices. These are highly profitable jobs at what can be a relatively small level of investment. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump through why you would want to do this, and then also going to actually step you through the process of how to actually set up a campaign in order to generate these inquiries and generate these calls for yourself. So why would you want to do it? Obviously, when people have emergency electrical services, whether their lights are out, whether their alarm's been disconnected, whatever it might be, their options are limited. So that means these jobs often pay quite well. There's less price hunting involved. People aren't very price sensitive when it comes to emergency electrical work, and they often skip the quoting websites. So they're not necessarily jumping on one flare service seeking high pages and getting 3 inquiries, because quite simply they just don't have the time in order to do that. They need their problem solved right then and there. And it also often, because these are out of hours jobs, there's less traffic, which means you can service a wider area more profitably, and it's also often less competitive. I mean, some people are going to tell you that, or you might have friends be telling you that emergency electrical work can be quite competitive, but it really isn't when it comes to, if you're marketing through the right channels and if you're generating these inquiries through the right channels, it can be very profitable and really not that competitive at all. So let's jump straight into the what and the how. So what channel are we going to use in order to generate this, and then I'll actually step you through the process of how you can actually do this for yourself. So in terms of, this is Google Ads, and now you might be saying, your first thought might be, right, tried Google Ads, doesn't really work. Can confidently tell you not the case at all. When it comes to emergency electrical services, Google Ads are a fantastic option, and what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to run what's called a call-only campaign. So imagine someone's lights have gone out or their alarm's been disconnected, whatever it might be, or they've had a lightning strike, and they need an emergency electrician straight away. They know they need an electrician. They're not going to take the time to jump onto their desktop computer, open it up, boot it up, and then search on Google. They are jumping straight on their phone, and they are looking for the fastest and quickest option, that someone that can actually come out, who's going to answer their phone, who can come and service them. So they jump straight on their phone, they type in whatever it might be, emergency electrician, Brisbane, Melbourne, the city, the suburb, whatever it might be, or 24-hour electrician, but it'll be some combination of those terms. That's not the important part. The important part here at this point is that they're jumping on their phone. And that's really important because, as you can see in this ad here, where we've got this big green button, this first ad, if I type in emergency electrician Brisbane, if you type in emergency electrician in your local suburb or city, you can see the very first ad here that appears. There's a phone next to it. It does have a website address, but the thing to point out here is this website address cannot actually be clicked on. It cannot be clicked on. I'll repeat that again. So they can't click on the website. All they can do when they're on their mobile is actually click this, and it'll phone straight away. These other businesses here are not taking advantage of call-only ads, and are definitely going to be leaving a lot of waste dollars on the table here. This top one here, this one here is a call-only ad. So as soon as you click that, it's going to bring up the phone application on their mobile, and they're going to be on the phone to this guy very shortly afterwards. Provided he answers the phone, chances of him being able to turn up at the door and get a quality job out of it is very, very high. So let's jump across and I can show you exactly how to set this up for yourself. Right, so in Google Ads, you want to set up a new campaign. When you go to set up a new campaign, you're going to come to a screen very similar to this. You want to click on a search campaign because you want to reach people when they're searching for these services. And it's worth mentioning that this is also a really great avenue because it opens up, it's a brand new avenue when it comes to a prospective client getting in touch with you, or customer getting in touch with you for the very first time. Obviously, you can extend that relationship with them over a longer period of time. You can now become their electrician of choice, provided obviously you're providing the right standard of service. It's an opportunity to become, develop a long-term relationship with them when they need, whatever it might be, downlights, ceiling fans installed, etc. in the future. They're going to come to you as well because you're able to provide such a good service. So the 24-hour emergency electrical services are often one which are a good gateway into other services as well. So see here, click on search, then we want to do sales, phone calls, obviously pick the country here, going Australia, get the number in. We're doing this campaign for just using Gordon's Powers for this one, emergency electrician based in Sydney, does a pretty good job when it comes to emergency electrical services. So I got his number in here, click continue. Campaign name, obviously give this the name that you'd like to give it. Do not include the search partners as far as locations go. Now you want to include a location here. So this is obviously the point which you want to include a location. let's say we were targeting the entire city of Sydney in this example. 6 million people. Obviously, if you wanted to reduce the service area, there's many ways that you can go about doing that here. But the important part that I want to highlight here is under location options, you do not want this top option here. Not sure why Google allows this as the recommended default, but it's going to include people who absolutely are not located in the service area. You want this one here, people in your targeted location. You can sort of have a read of those descriptions and it really makes sense when you do read it. Next here, English. Obviously, you can pick other languages if need be. In terms of the average budget you want to spend each day, this is something for trial and error to begin with. You know, when it comes to these sorts of campaigns, typically pick a budget and know that you're going to run with that budget for, 2 months. I would typically recommend, or we would recommend to most of our electrical clients, run with that budget for 2 months and then see what sort of volume of inquiries it's generating before you really start to alter that. So $30 there. In terms of conversions, like to go to clicks and start with say $10 per click in this example here. We're looking at Sydney Emergency Electrical Services, and don't get too hung up on picking the cost per click too extensively. If you pick a number in here, if you pick $3, if you pick $5, whatever it might be, come in the next day, have a look, and then check if it's actually generating calls at that volume or not. And if it's not, obviously increase it a little bit. Start date, obviously when it comes to the ad start date, you can obviously time that, for a certain period of time. If you just want to run it for 2 months, you can put an end date in here. Not going to do that in this instance here. Ad schedule, this is really important because obviously you want to make sure the ad schedule is set to times where you're actually going to make sure that either you or one of your staff is going to be answering the phone. Very, very important. So you can pick different days in here. Let's just say, for example, we're just doing Monday. Now you want to add 2 times in here. We typically, for out-of-hours services, be looking at 6 till 11:45 that night. And let's say it was the Monday evening. You would then typically run this from midnight, then right through until generally again 6 a.m. So you really are capturing those people for out of hours times. Then here, not so worried about audiences, not worried about call extensions. We don't want to touch that. Ad rotation, typically change this to do not optimize, rotate ads indefinitely, and then check back in order to do it. Otherwise, if you do just want to run with the default option, that's also okay, as in just choose the best performing ads. Typically recommend running sort of 5 ad sets at a time when you're running a campaign like this, and then just dropping off those ones that don't perform very well. So writing 5 different ads for this campaign, and then we click save and continue. And then this is the point where now you just go and create the ads. You can create ad groups if you'd like to. Put your search terms in here. Now look for search terms as to what you're looking for. Don't want to go into all the details of exactly what you do as far as the matches go. Obviously very important if you've never done this before to really understand these ones here and avoid broad match altogether. So if you really are unsure, you're much safer putting all your search terms in italics. So you can type in 24-hour electrician, 24-hour electrician, emergency electrician, emergency electrical services. And that's how you can go about building your campaign. Obviously, you can get quite specific in terms of what you're really trying to target here. And then once you're done there, save and continue, then you actually go about creating the ads. As I said, as you saw in the ad before, you're not actually trying to pick an address on your website because they're not going to your website. These are call-only ads where they're calling specifically. Now, look, in the ideal world, if you are running a campaign for this very seriously, obviously what you do really want to utilize or take it to the next step is to actually use call tracking numbers. So use a number that forwards to your main line or forwards to your mobile if your call's going to your mobile, or forwards to your 1-800 number if it's going to 1-800 number, but forwards through to there so that you can track exactly which ads are generating calls for you. Because at the end of the day, when it comes to Google Ads, you're not trying to optimize for the lowest possible click, so the lowest dollar amount per click. What you're trying to optimize for is the lowest possible dollar amount per inquiry. Because at the end of the day, what you're trying to do is get people to phone. You're not just trying to get people to click. Right, so that's it. So that's how you generate call-only ads, or how you utilize call-only ads in order to generate emergency electrical work at what are significantly cheaper prices. You're not going to be paying the same amount per click as you are to send someone to your website. Not only that, obviously they're jumping on the phone when they're in a time of need. Their power's out, their home alarm's been disconnected, whatever it might be, but their service is an emergency, it's urgent, so you're getting them on the phone nice and quickly, and really it's levels out the playing field and makes it much, much easier in order to, get in the door and actually get paid. So hopefully this has really been helpful in terms of actually starting to generate some emergency electrical work for you, and would love to hear how it goes for you. Thanks.